Okay, back here and looking at some guitar gear. This is the iPB-10 from Digitech. IPB stands for iPedalboard.
Is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
I thought it was iPid.
iPid. Well, I assume it stands for iPedalboard. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay, so Larry's been screwing around with this thing for a while. Show us how it works.
Okay, so you're going to take your iPad. You're going to, I've turned it on first. You're going to pop your iPad right into here, right? Nobody looking at my stupid picture of the sailboat. I didn't put that on there. There we go. Snap it in, pop, bada bing, bada boom. Now, this whole pedal board is all about what you see here.
Now, this is an app. It's a free app called Nexus or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it'll take a million years to download. It's a big program.
It's a big program. It took like over an hour, closer to 2 hours to download. I was almost to the point of giving up on it, but man, it's freaking awesome.
Okay.
So let's talk about let's talk about amplifiers first. Okay, so we're going to go into edit mode here. Hit the amplifier. Obviously, the amplifier that's here right now is a Marshall. I'm using a, of course they can't call it Marshall because, you know, Marshall would be pissed. But basically in a nutshell, this is a JCM 2000. You got a JCM 900, a JCM 800, the old school master volume, 68 plexi, a JTM 45. And you start to move into the Fender stuff over here. Basically, you just select whichever head you want to use. It highlights it as you see it there, and that's what pops up here. Here's some Vox heads, high watt.
Wow.
Oops.
Don't see that.
Yeah, the high watt sounds really good, by the way. And then you move into some of the boogie stuff, Mark II, Mark IV, dual rectifier, triple rectifier, carving heads, matchless, just all kinds of crazy cool stuff. Orange, PV, this would be like a 5150, and then you get into some of the digital shit, the Roland JC120. Can I say shit?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. And then you get into the really not so good stuff we'll talk about later. Okay, so then you can also select your cabinet the same way. So right now the modeling I'm using is basically a Marshall JCM 2000 with a vintage 412 Marshall cabinet. You can also, much like the heads, you've got all kinds of choices. Obviously there's Vox, there's a Fender Twin cabinet modeling. And this is not even the coolest part about this combination. The coolest part is that it doesn't sound like a modeled amp. It actually sounds within reason of the real thing. And I say within reason to create a disclaimer. It's not perfect. But
and Larry's an amp snob.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it does sound really good. You could definitely do a gig with this. I wrote a lot of the patches you're going to hear in a minute with my in-ears, and then plugged it into the PA system, and needed to make no changes. So it's pretty realistic. Other thing that's kind of nice is if you choose to use this just as a pedal board, you can flip it into pedal board mode, and the only thing at that point you're using, all the amp modeling goes away, all the cabinet modeling goes away, and you're just using the actual pedals. Here's the beautiful thing about the pedals. Obviously, the iconic Tube Screamer and the variation versions of it are available. Some Boss, MXR, DOD, all kinds of choices. You just simply select the one that you want to use, just like the head in the cabinet. It pops up. You can move it physically anywhere in the scheme that you want. And just like a real pedal, if you move the chorus first, you get more of a Leslie vibe. If you move the chorus second, you get more of a Steve vibe, chorus vibe, and so on and so forth. The delays, everything is just absolutely... the pedals, the effects are awesome. The wah-wah pedals are awesome. I've got a few presets that I've just kind of slapped together, and here in just a couple seconds we'll strap a guitar on and give you a listen through the PA system. So basically left, right, XLR, straight into the Midas console we did a product review on last week, into QSCs that we're currently trying to tell you guys all about right now. So it's a kind of a convenient little scenario here. We're going to give you, I'm just going to plug a Les Paul straight in and turn the faders up and just kind of run through it. So, and
we're going to turn the EQ off on the board,
yeah,
or do we need to make... one thing that we didn't talk about is kind of cool, you don't see on these things, is there is a switch that says, I don't know if you can see it there, but it says amp or mixer. So if you're going into a guitar amp or a mixer, I think what it's going to do is change the ohm load. It's going to change the output resistance.
I think it does change the output resistance, and there's probably a little bit of an EQ, like, you know,
difference, right?
Basically, when it's going through a PA system to a compressor driver, a lot of these direct guitars, amps, and modelers have a tendency to be really brittle sounding. So you hit that button, you do a little bit of mojo inside, which is really easy to do, and you don't get that direct, gacky, digital distortion, high pitch, tinty sound that you would normally expect from plugging any type of pedal board directly into the PA.
And I've used a bunch of these. I've actually used a couple of them on gigs, and the thing that I didn't like is all the other ones except this that I know about so far, you have to use the headphone output on the iPad or the iPhone or whatever you're using, and it just, especially if you're going to plug into a mono amp, you've got a stereo output, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't even know what the damn thing's called, but you're using the big giant connector
would
here.
Be the dock connector.
Okay, the dock connector. See, I didn't even know what it was called. So you're using the dock connector, so it's actually also charging it while it's in there. So, you know, for me, my shit's never charged. So, anyway, next scene will be we'll take a listen to some of the presets I have in here, and maybe I'll build a preset from scratch in real time to show you how easy.